That me though. That me though. I ain't got no problem with what you do. I'ma do me though. Yeah. I like chains on top of my chains for real, but that's me though.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for just tuning in today. My name is Timothy Fleming Jr., just coming to you today with a special live. I want to talk to my writers out there, those of you who are writing a book or thinking about writing a book, those of you who may be in the process right now of trying to tell your story. You want to share your story. You have a book on the inside of you, something that you want to get out and share your message with the world, but you're struggling right now. You're in a place where you're struggling, and it's almost like you've hit a wall. In fact, you probably have hit a wall, that infamous wall we call writer's block. So I want to just take a couple of minutes and just share with you one possible reason for you experiencing writer's block. And I also want to give you one tactic, one technique that you can use to actually overcome this problem. So for those that don't know, I've been working with clients for the last 10 years, well, over 10 years, helping people write and publish their books, work with pastors, life coaches, with entrepreneurs. I've been working with, I even work with reality television personalities and celebrity athletes, just helping people to write their books. So I've been doing a lot of writing, a lot of ghost writing, a lot of editing, and all of these things. And so for me, it was always a necessity that in order to write and get these books, I had to be able to write them quickly. I had to be able to get the books, get the manuscript written, and to do so in the fastest amount of time. So I had to learn how to develop the right techniques that put me in a position where I could actually write these books and get them done quickly because there were deadlines. And oftentimes I would run into what we would call writer's block. And writer's block isn't just preventing you from writing your book, it's preventing you from sharing your story with the world. Because ultimately, your number one goal is you want to share your story with the world. You want to get your message out there. There are people out there that need to hear what you have to say. Oftentimes, I'll tell people this, that look, if you are reluctant to share your story, then what you're doing is you are depriving someone else, or probably a multitude of people who God has specifically placed here so that they can receive what you have to say. So it's not about you. Sharing your story is not about you. You know, the reason why you should not be, and I kind of want to take this as a little bit of a side note. One reason you should never be fearful and reluctant. Oh, I'm afraid to, talk and get online and put myself out there or whatever. I'm afraid, because I don't do very well in front of a camera. I'm afraid of talking and speaking. By nature, I'm a very introverted person, but by necessity, I understand that I have a certain expertise that someone else needs. So it's not about how I feel, because I would rather be just kind of focusing on other things that I enjoy doing rather than talking in front of the camera. However, the thing that is necessary is if I could share information that can help someone else, then that's more important than my own personal feelings. That's more important than my own comfort or whatever the case. And in this case, your story is necessary. It's important. Now, today, this video is not for everybody. But this is for that individual who says, I've gone through something. I have a testimony. I have a story to share. I've accumulated some wisdom in my life, or I've developed an expertise that I know other people need to hear. And I really kind of feel like it's almost like a divine mandate. Like God is just putting this on my heart. I have to write this book. I got to share this story. I got to get this out. I have to, share this with other people. So if that's you and you're tuning in, then thank you for tuning in. Welcome, because today I'm talking specifically to you. So your story is not about yourself. And when you have something as severe as writer's block that's robbing you of the ability to continue writing your book, that's preventing you from completing that book project, that's stopping you from penning that manuscript, well, that's holding up more than just the book. It's holding up your destiny. It's this your purpose is attached to that. The people that need you are attached to that. So look at this as more than just a video providing a helpful technique on how to overcome writer's block. Look at this as a video that's providing helpful information on how to get back on track with your divine purpose, the very thing that God has placed you on this earth for, the very thing that you're supposed to be doing, which is impacting the lives of other people with that which God has given you. So look at this as something so much bigger than just a writing tip. But writer's block is something that prevents you from being able to get your thoughts to flow, that creativity to flow, and it just causes you to stall, to become stagnant, to end up at a standstill. And it could be very frustrating. There are people right now who started writing a book years ago, and here they are, year number 3, 4, 5, 6, year number 10. They are still sitting back talking about, one day I'm gonna finish this, and they can't seem to get around to completing it. And every day that goes by, you sense that this opportunity and this potential is being wasted. Almost feel like your soul is being sucked out of your body, like all of your potential is literally just being wasted, draining out of your pinky toe. And there's this frustration and this tension and this discouragement that begins to set in. And this is how some people, they have masterpieces that never get written. And God, and there are people that are like praying, God, I want you to take my life higher. And God is like, yes, all right, I want you to write a book. And they're like, and they start a project, but then somewhere along the line they get stuck, and then eventually they just give up. And there was a whole truckload of blessing that was supposed to come behind that. I talk about my testimony, my wife and I, and our testimony. Oftentimes, I'll talk about that a lot. About how we started, and I kind of put this picture on the screen because a lot of people see conferences and events that we did, and just written out entire convention centers, going and just doing hundreds of people showing up, people literally coming from all over the world, from South America, from Canada. I mean, we're putting on these events and we're reaching all of these people, and these were our events. We paid for out of our own pocket. We didn't get loans and all. No, we were paying for this stuff. And it started with something as simple as a book. It started with something as simple as a book. There was a book that God put on my wife's heart to write. I came in, helped her write it, kind of did the ghost writing part. And we put that book together, and then the book turned into something so much bigger. You don't know what may be on the other side of one very simple and very small thing that God may be prompting you to do. And writing a book may be the start of an entirely new journey, that your life is now getting ready to go into an entirely different area. You're about to embark on a new journey, about to do some incredible things. And it starts with that. It starts with that one small thing that you may have in your heart right there. So when we look at this again, why some people find themselves at that standstill. Now, there's one thing, and I want to emphasize and focus on the number one thing that prevents people from actually finishing their book, causes them to fall into that place of stagnation. Stall. I can't get my thoughts to flow. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna tell you the one thing that stops people, that their potential to complete that project is stalled by this big ugly green monster. This big ugly green monster. And no, I'm not talking about the Incredible Hulk. I'm talking about one that's worse, more ravenous and destructive than the Incredible Hulk. I'm talking about the green monster known as The inner critic. Inner critic. All of us have an inner critic. Every time you get ready to do something, your inner critic starts whispering to you. Well, you know that ain't gonna work. This don't even make any sense. I don't even know why you're doing this. You know what? Ain't nobody gonna buy this. So why are you even wasting your time writing it anyway? You know what? You there's something else all of that stuff you wrote. This don't make sense. That don't make sense. This don't make sense. You know what? You need to erase all of this and start all over again because none of this is adding up. Your inner critic is always there to just critique, criticize every word that you write, every sentence that you write. And some of us find ourselves stuck in that place where the number one thing that's eating up your creativity and preventing you from being able to complete your project is the inner critic, that inner voice that is always critiquing you while you're writing your book. And the inner critic, I hate to say it this way. I wish I had better news for you, but I hate to say it. There's no remedy, there's no way of getting rid of the inner critic. There's no pill you can take that can just make it dissolve, make it just disappear, go away. You can't put a gag over its mouth. You can't shut them up. You can't take them and hide them in a basement somewhere, chain them, strap them, gag them, and make sure he never rises to the surface of your awareness any longer. I'm sorry, but when it comes to the inner critic, you cannot dismiss him, banish him, cause him to vanish or disappear or dissipate. He's going to be there. Every time you attempt to finish your project, the inner critic is going to be right there whispering in your ear. And that inner critic can do more than the Incredible Hulk because the inner critic can grab your soul by the throat and just wrangle all of the creativity out of you. It can affect you on a level much deeper than the Marvel comic book character. So what do we do then? What do we do? Because I remember when I would first start writing, one of the biggest problems I would have, I would start writing and then my inner critic will start speaking to him. This don't make sense. Then I erase it. Then I start writing again. Oh, this don't make any sense. I don't like the way this sounds. Then I erase it. Then I start writing again. I said I was going to share with you one helpful tip, but I got to give you two helpful tips. Actually, I'm sorry. I got to give you a bonus tip right here. And I'm going to start with the bonus tip before I get to the main tip. The bonus tip is don't write using a computer. Write using a notebook. Handwrite. And the reason why that is more effective is because you don't have the luxury of erasing when you're writing it out by hand. You don't have the luxury of erasing. As you're writing, you just if you wrote it down, you can't go back. If you're using a pen, you can't go back and erase, because when we have the ability to just write and then erase and then, I don't like that, and erase it, well, we will use that. We will take advantage of that. But when you have a pen and a piece of paper, you can't go back and erase what you've written. You just got to keep going. So I discovered something that I would do this all the time when I would write poetry. I would handwrite. Now I do type from time to time, but most of my poems, especially the ones that I love and other people enjoy, I would handwrite. I would handwrite them first on a piece of paper. And I have all these notebooks and binders with all of these poems. I mean, I've written hundreds, probably into the thousands, to be honest. Been writing since I was in middle school. But I was just sit down and write all these poems and just write everything written by hand. And then I would take the ones that I hand wrote and then go back and type them. And while typing them, I may revise them so that I could change up the wording, this and that. But I would always write by hand. So that's bonus tip. Now, here's the main tip for how you overcome this problem of the inner critic that is just eating away your time and creativity and just wreaking havoc on your writing ambitions, that is just distracting and destroying your destiny and your purpose and preventing you from stepping into the very thing that God has called you to do. Well, this is the main tip. It's a technique that I call brain dumping. Brain dumping. What is brain dumping? Brain dumping is this. I'm gonna grab my phone right here. I grab my cell phone. I put it on the timer. You know, some people had other timers. I use my timer on my phone. I put it on the timer and I set it for like 15, 20 minutes. And the rule is this: you're not allowed to edit. You're not allowed to edit anything, because the inner critic keeps you perpetually editing as you write. Your biggest mistake. You will never finish if you're constantly editing while you go. So what I do is I sit down and I put the timer on, and you have to challenge yourself in this effort. Put the timer on and just brain dump. Brain dump is where you just write nonstop, and you set the rule that you are not allowed to stop. So you have to just sit there and just keep going. If you're writing, you just keep writing. You set your intention that this is the subject that I'm writing on, and I'm just going to, for the next 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, set your timer, just write. So just everything that comes to mind, you just keep writing. The goal is to keep your fingers moving, even when it seems like your brain is stalled, but you keep your fingers moving, because that's going to help activate your brain also. That is going to continue that creative flow. And the fascinating thing is, the more that you write, the more the thoughts start to flow. So you want to do an actual exercise that forces creativity to start flowing, and that gets you into what we call the zone. And that's the reason why I suggest doing the brain dump technique, where you just sit down and for 15, 20 minutes with the timer going, you write nonstop. And you don't let your fingers stop moving. You keep them going. If you're typing, you keep them going. Just every single thought, every idea, suggestion, everything that come to mind. I don't care how dumb it sounds, how stupid it sounds, how ridiculous it sounds, how it doesn't flow, how it doesn't add up, how it doesn't necessarily lay out the points in a coherent manner, how it doesn't necessarily congeal, how it doesn't necessarily, elaborate and expound on the talking points like you. It doesn't matter. The goal is not to be coherent. The goal is not to be organized. The goal is not to make sure that you have a beautifully laid out manuscript. No, the goal is to literally dump everything in here onto the paper. That's it. Just dump, brain dump. And so sit down, put your timer on, make sure that you know the two main rules is that you have to write nonstop, and you cannot edit. Train yourself to stop editing while you're writing. By doing this exercise, you're not allowed to edit. You must just simply write as you go. Just write. And then after that timer is up, then set it for like 5 minutes, take a break, get up, walk around, go look at another book, do something unrelated to the project. Get up, I don't know, go to the refrigerator or whatever. I like going to the bookstore, so I'll probably go browse I'll look at some other book titles, whatever. And then after the 5 minutes, the timer go off, set it again for another 15, 20 minutes, sit down, finish brain dumping. Do this several times. And what you'll eventually do is you'll look up and you'll notice you have pages and pages of stuff that you've written. And the goal is to take what you've written and then later go back and edit it. But you cannot edit while you're writing, because you'll never finish writing it, because your inner critic will keep telling you this don't sound right, change it. And as long as you keep changing stuff, you will never complete what you're trying to do. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope that tip is very helpful. That is something that can really help jumpstart your journey, because it's more than just finishing a book. It's about completing a journey that God may have you on. So if you enjoyed that, I know you're going to enjoy this. I'm doing a special training. I'm doing a special masterclass tonight, and it is live. It's actually me talking and interacting with the people that are going to be on. Now, I do have the link to it in the description section of the video. It's free, but you do have to register. But I have the link to it in the description of the video below. So I definitely encourage you, where I'm going to teach you the 4 techniques that you need in order to create an irresistible manuscript. And I'm really kind of one of those techniques I'm adding in for those that tune in who want to actually put their book on the bestsellers list. So I'm going to actually cover a technique that you can use in order to do that as well. So I hope to see you tonight again. I hope that this has been a blessing to you. So again, I'm going to be bringing more content like this as well. So continue to stay tuned in, continue to subscribe to this channel if you're watching on YouTube, and help me get these kind of videos out to more and more people. And I will see you later. God bless.